And we are back with another one in the same day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Islandish Podcast. I am your lovely host, your girl Yams, your hostess with the mostest. And I have with me the lovely Mr. Alfred Anderson. How are you, my good friend?
I'm fantastic, Yams. Thank you for having me here. It's a complete honor.
Always a pleasure to have you here with us. Now, we had a busy week.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
We had an amazing conversation earlier this week. We ain't going to check in on that yet.
But they can find out soon, though.
Y'all can find out soon. Y'all can find out soon. But for persons who do not know who you are, in a nutshell, tell them who is Alfred Anderson? Because I don't know how they don't already know. But let them know who you are.
Yes, so my name is Alfred Anderson. I am a creative entrepreneur. I'm Grand Bahamian. Mm-hmm. I operate several brands within my business called the Anderson Group. A newest branch of that brand is Studio A, which was recently successfully launched. So I do a bit of photography as well as cinematography.
Say a little bit.
Yes.
I do a bit of photography,
sometimes.
Just a tad. Okay, so I met Alfred. Alfred, how did I even meet you? I think I met you at COB.
No, Yams. I think I knew you from soccer.
Yeah, because to Coach Mary and Coach Donnie.
I think you were probably like 6 the first time I met you.
Pee-wee.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that was years ago.
Yes, we won't spill
I wouldn't even try to figure out the year.
Yeah, no, we won't do that. But yes, we are Grand Bahama babies. We are Grand Bahama creatives.
Yes.
I've worked with you on a few projects, and I've also watched you do some amazing things, not just in photography and videography, but also in theater.
Yes.
Because you didn't even mention that.
I
Too many hats, you know.
Sometimes I forget, but I am past president of the Freeport Players Guild. Mm-hmm. I believe that was 2020 to 2022. I've also produced several shows at the theater. Mm-hmm. I've acted in a few plays as well.
Wonderful. Yes. So Alfred, as you can tell, is a creative, a thespian in and of many things. Yes. And we're going to talk about the power of being a creative, and we're going to talk a lot about creativity here in Grand Bahama.
Great.
Because a lot of creatives, they look at, and I'm only speaking from my personal experience, even though I'm out here doing it, I look at people like you and I be like, boy, if he could do it, he could do it. I don't know how he's doing this. I don't know how he able to make all these things move and shake. Yeah. But you are really doing the thing, and you're doing it somewhere like Grand Bahama. To some people, it's like, how you even stay here for this long. So we're going to talk about the very beginning. How did you get to even pick up a camera and get into this industry?
The thing is, again, probably not wanting to show my age, my real age, but it's just like, I remember around the age of 8, I would say. Mm-hmm. This was when point and shoot cameras was first a thing. Okay. And my mom, she had an Olympus camera, the one where you like slide the face across and the lens would like come forward. Yeah. And I just remember her having it around, and I played with it a few times. And then my sister was also interested in modeling at the time. So
big ups to Cindy.
Yes, my sister Cindy. I had all my cousins in East End. I would have them in the bush. We'd be doing photo shoots, using mirrors as reflectors, just doing anything. And then that was, of course, around the same time when America's Next Top Model was big. Right. So I had an opportunity to see, what this could really, really become. Right. So I picked up the camera, I want to say around the age of 8. But it honestly wasn't until 2008 when I was a freshman in college. I went to study computer informations, but my advisor, he was like, no, I think you should go into mass communication since you're walking around with a camera around your neck. And the rest is literally history.
Okay, wonderful. That's kind of an interesting story to know that it started from way back when.
Yes.
And to see where you have come to today and what you have done with your business. Now, my other question branching off of that would have to be, how have you been able to almost like stay relevant or keep up with the changes with camera and technology and photography? Yeah,
there's a lot of things I would say that contribute to that. One being, of course, you have to make the initial investment.
Right.
I always tell people I was fortunate when I was able to purchase my first professional camera by myself, and that was at the time that was a $2,000 investment that I made. And unfortunately, at this point in my journey, most things that I would need to add to my business right now, they're far beyond the 2000. So it's really about, I think, staying relevant with technology and, of course, investing. Like, you got to spend money to make money.
Yes.
So that's been one of the driving forces. And then just not giving up, honestly.
Right.
Like, I've seen a lot of Bahamian creatives, you know, they start and then it gets tough and then you don't see them or they switch into different industries. But for me, it's just literally been about just being consistent and just not giving up. Like, I want this that bad.
Yeah, so it's really having a passion for it, you would say.
Oh, yeah.
A passion for the craft. All right, good. You keeping up with me with the answers, and I
Yes.
like that. That means this conversation is going to go really, really well. So my other question would definitely have to be finding inspiration. Where do you
Yes.
find most of your inspiration from? You know me, yeah, I can make you think.
My inspiration, believe it or not, as weird as this might sound, I get my inspiration from like travel. Like,
Okay.
I can be inspired here at home, but the minute I leave wherever I've been for a certain period of time, I just naturally seem to draw inspiration just through travel. Like, I love to people watch, and I don't know if it's just the artist in me, or if it's just the weird in me, but like, I learn human habits. Like, as a photographer, there's so much psychological side to what we do that I take the time to just look at people. I look at things. When I go to different locations, I look at how people dress in relation to this environment.
Okay.
One of the main places that I really find inspiration is New York.
Okay.
So I am every year, I think I've probably been to New York at least 3 times, like minimum every year. And it's cities like New York where you see so much different types of people, so much
Right.
different types of things. So for me, inspiration comes so many different ways. I just have to kind of just get out of my comfort zone or my comfort space, and then inspiration just naturally flows.
Okay, I like the fact that you mentioned getting out of your comfort space and out of your comfort zone. So when it comes to being a creative, do you feel like that's one of the things that hold a lot of creatives back?
Yes, definitely, because I think it's something so unique about being a creative and allowing the world to see your inner thoughts, allowing the world to judge your inner thoughts,
Right.
or just bringing to life your inner thoughts. And I think, honestly, sometimes that's scary.
Yeah.
Like, that is naturally scary, especially for just anyone even new or old into the industry. That level of vulnerability is just like, you gotta do it, but boy, this is not easy.
Right, definitely. So what would you say was your first real booking that made you feel like, because my brother told me this and I wasn't sure it was true until it happened. He said you always have that one booking or that one moment where it happens to you and it's like, boy, I really could do this. This was my validation to
Yeah.
stay in this and to
Yeah.
keep pushing this.
That's a good question, Yams. My first photography job or cinematography?
Either one which you want to talk about.
Okay.
Which
Because I think for me, I could go through a lot of different things, but as far as weddings, I hated weddings at first.
Okay.
So for me, I started shooting weddings in 2009, but I didn't have my first kind of aha moment until around about 2014.
Okay.
When I started seeing like destination weddings where it's just like this literally was that big of a deal to these people in that
Right.
moment. So for me, the impact that I saw as a result of, to me, it was just taking photos at the time, but people really, they connect, I should say, with the emotions involved. So that was it for me with weddings. For corporate or cinematography, I don't think I had that light bulb moment until 2016. When the CEO of the power company then, Sarah McDonald, I was working on a project and she literally just was like, there's only 2 things in life, excuses and results. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
Next to the fact that this project is important,
Right.
there's also lessons that I learned about life. So I think 2016, I really started taking cinematography and commercial work seriously. And then photography, I love fashion editorials and portraits. So I think, honestly, probably from day one, I just knew.
Just knew. Just had the bug and it was it.
I think so.
That was it. Okay, so let's talk more now about the Anderson group.
Yes.
And the different facets of it. Because you
Yes.
talked about Studio A again.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is the center of creation. This
There we
is
go.
not a studio. Don't come in there thinking, oh, I need some passport pictures. No.
Yeah.
This is the center of creation. I learned that.
Yes. So the Anderson group, there's different layers to what that brand is. But for me, I always initially, I felt like, how people say, when you be a jack of all trade, you become a master of none.
Right.
I agreed with that statement, but at the same time, I just knew that I wanted to offer different services.
Right.
And I didn't believe that it was a matter of being a master of all trade. I just believed in diversifying what I do.
Right.
More than anything as well, understanding especially, and I think this will tie into a later conversation, but being a Grand Bahamian, it's hard to just do one thing here.
Right. Big facts.
You need to focus kind of sometimes on multiple things based on multiple seasons.
Right.
So for me, that's really what kind of birthed and really pushed the idea of creating this company called the Anderson Group. Whereas I'm now able to house the seasonal brands that I have, Alfred Anderson Weddings, ACOM Strategy, now Studio A, as well as Alfred Anderson. So it really just, in my mind, it worked. It seemed to be the best way to just kind of put everything under an umbrella.
Right.
But also with the Anderson Group, a lot of people don't know, but my father's name was Anderson.
Right, yeah.
So, that had very, very, very special meaning to me. And around the time when I finally committed to the idea of the Anderson Group, and I journal everything, that was the same year that he passed away.
Right.
So I had already, this was April or May of 2021 when I said, you know what, go with the Anderson Group. And then by November,
He
life
passed
happened.
away.
Yes.
Right.
So it all worked out. So it's not just an homage. It's just, for me, it's the way that I find myself most comfortable in sharing who I am with the world and not being boxed in as just, oh, the photographer, oh, the cinematographer,
Right.
oh, this. It's just like, no. So here we are, the Anderson Group, an umbrella of company, and it's only going to continue growing.
I love that. You explained it so eloquently. Your media
Thank you.
training.
I have a little bit of media background,
A little bit, just a
a little
tad.
something.
Okay, I love it. So let's dive a little bit more into how you blossomed, kind of, sort of, and how you grew into what I believe is, you don't even like to, it's one thing you don't need to know about Alfred. He don't like to gas himself, but he have friends like me and several of us who watching, big ups to all us who watching, who gas him and let him know, like, but you are that guy. You have those friends who like become a phenomena over time. And Alfred, you've really done such amazing pieces. People will see it and be like, or see like your work. Like I've seen people post their wedding pictures, and before I look at the credits, I'd be like, Alfred shoot this wedding, This Alfred shoot this wedding. Only Alfred gonna shoot your wedding. Because I know you ain't flying no one into this wedding. You going to Alfred. Alfred did this wedding. So in terms of that, what have you done in terms of skills, training, or personal development to get to this level with your craft?
Yeah. So again, next to investing, I always make a conscious effort. And when it comes to upgrading and keeping relevant with technology,
Right.
But more than anything, Yams, I'm one of those YouTube University people. Like,
Okay,
I didn't graduate from university. I attended university, but I
Right.
didn't graduate. So I was kind of forced to, figure it out, and that's one of my mottos in life. You just figure it out. So I constantly, I'm always doing workshops online. I'm just always learning from other artists. I'm always trying to connect with people within the industry to just become better. And you just got to I think you should never really get comfortable, like you just got to keep pushing the envelope. So even as far as equipment, I would sometimes purchase things that I wouldn't typically use, but I would purchase it and try it, see how it works, see how people respond to it. And you just keep making investments, honestly.
So that's what you would call Studio A. Is Studio A a new investment, a new thing you're trying?
Yes.
Because now we're going to dive into that conversation about describing exactly what Studio A is. Because me and you talked about this.
Yes.
You could post and you could put the wordings. People could describe. People aren't going to listen when you write.
Yes.
So this is your time as on video.
Yes.
To explain exactly what Studio A is to my lovely listeners and watchers.
Great. So what Studio A is, I always believe, of course, there's the Anderson Group, but even though that's an umbrella company, there still needs to be a space. There still needs to be a house for these workings to happen. So after many years of thinking about it, people are always saying, oh, you should do a studio. Oh, you should have a mobile studio. Oh, you should go this place. You should do that. I just needed the right time and I needed the right process. So what Studio A is, it is the center of creation for the Anderson Group, which means that clients that exist within my ACOM space, which is more so the commercial aspect of my business, we now have a studio that whenever a client has something, they can go to the studios. The same for signature portraits. There's now an actual portrait. But then I guess after this break, we'll just kind of bring it back and talk a little bit more about the experiences that you can have within Studio A.
Definitely. Most definitely. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Boy, this boy media trained for real. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we come back. We're definitely going to finish this conversation all about the Anderson Group and Alfred Anderson.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason.
And I'm Cheryl. Join us here on Superior Talk Bahamas YouTube channel every Tuesday at 6 for Let's Talk,
Where we talk about issues that matter to you. We try to come up with workable, practical solutions so we have more action and less talk.
See you on Tuesday.
And just like that, we are back with Islandish Podcast, talking with Mr. Alfred Anderson as he tells us all about Studio A. So tell us more about this lovely center of creation,
Yes.
the different things that are offered there, and what people can expect to experience
Yes.
when they step into the building.
So next to just the kind of regular services, I would say, with Studio A for me, it's really about the passion of experiences for Grand Bahamians particularly. I have a rich history in supporting these claims that a lot of the greatest Bahamian artists usually come from Grand Bahama.
Big facts.
Usually.
I stand on that.
And I just see, people, we say, oh, there's nothing to do, there's nothing going on. I've come to the point and place in realizing that if there's nothing really happening, it's because we're not doing it.
Right.
Particularly people in our age group
Yes.
now. So with that in mind, along with the creation of Studio A, there are signature experiences. There's signature moments. There's a lot of different things that will take place within the studio sense. And I always tell people, when you think about Studio A, I want you to think about like Universal Studios or Tyler Perry Studios. It's not necessarily like a photography studio. It's a production studio.
Got
So you can expect very soon, as we have discussed, there will be live showings, live recordings, just different things that are going to allow Grand Bahamians to have a true international experience.
I love that. And I feel like that's the thing that we need.
Yes.
And I truly, because you probably will agree with me on this, I don't feel like our generation has realized that if ain't nothing going on, that's because we ain't doing nothing.
Exactly.
Like,
And
we're at that age. We're in our early to mid-30s. It's like,
Yep.
that's the age bracket who, when we was
we're
younger,
supposed to be
were
responsible
throwing
for
the
things.
events.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were throwing the events. They were opening the businesses. They were doing the different things. So our generation or our age group,
Yeah.
we're the set that's supposed to be like, wait, I doing this. And they can come. If they don't come, they don't come, but they can come.
And I think for me, where I really realized that point was in being in the theater. And
Right.
we sat on the board
Yes.
together.
Yes, we did.
So I think just from that experience, I was able to see the kind of transitions between the older
Old guard
generation
to the new
and
guard.
then realizing that, oh, shoots, it's now us. And Preston and I, we always kind of joke about this thing about like dropping the hot potato. It's just like no one wants to be the generation that drops the hot
Yeah.
potato. So I take that same approach when it comes to business, photography, by extension, the Anderson Group. And I just make sure that, you know what, at the end of the day, at least let me just try. Let's just try. What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
This is our hometown. We should be the ones, advancing on the opportunities.
Definitely.
So if nothing's happening, it's probably because of us.
I agree. And we're going to shift the conversation a little bit more on this social topic because me and you, I believe, are
Yes.
a bit of social butterflies.
Yes.
You don't like to be outside too much. When we go outside, we make noise. So that's what matters. But I see this a lot, especially with me traveling. You're more of an international traveler. I'm more domestic.
Yes.
So when I go to places like Nassau, Bimini, Abaco, I see people in my age bracket and younger being the ones throwing the events, making the noise. Like, they're the ones who, like, they didn't wait for the older set to
Right.
hand it to them. They took it.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, this is what me and my friends, this is what my generation into. We throwing these events. This is what we want to do. I don't care if your older
Yeah.
set don't come. This is what we doing. And I feel like, for some reason, I don't know if it was Dorian. People like to blame Dorian and pandemic for everything. But I feel like for some reason, we haven't, as that generation, decided, like, I'm not going to wait for y'all to tell me, all right, now y'all go through events. I'm going to just start doing my own thing.
I think one of the challenges with that, while I completely agree with that, I've personally seen that a lot of the people similar to us who are perhaps subject matter experts, before they would say, take the time or energy to kind of wait, because it is a waiting period when it comes to anything development wise. I feel like they just kind of move. They just move.
They
so
dial in, yeah.
With not just the fact that it is on us, I think a lot of it still comes back to a lot of us ain't here.
That's true too.
Like,
I'm happy you said that.
like a lot of us ain't here, and for various reasons. But I think our generation for sure has suffered some of the biggest challenges in terms of time. Like when the money was here, we were babies or not born yet.
Yeah.
We came through the struggle period, and now we're hopefully on the uprise. And again, a lot of people just simply could not have waited. Not necessarily that they wanted to, they could not have waited. So I think just focusing on what we can do, that's again a major point for Studio A, even though that was a huge risk in a business.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it was necessary for someone to take the risk.
Yeah. And I feel like even with you taking that risk, it kind of like sets a fire up under other people, because as much people don't like to admit it, I believe competition is the best motivator in a good way. In terms of like I said earlier, if I could see Alfred doing it, why would I slunk it on? Someone who I could see all the time, hang out with all the time, if he can make it happen.
And I always even say too, with competition too, it also, I think that's a driving force for any industry. Like it's not going to drive as hard as opposed to there being competition. Like you need opposition.
Right.
You need that extra support sometimes.
Right.
So for me, I love competition.
Right. You welcome it.
At this point, let's play.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the creative landscape here in Freeport, Grand Bahama. What are some other creatives you've worked with here locally that you would say are definitely, if not the present, but also going to be the future of creativity in Grand Bahama?
People that are still here or people that?
Both. Both. But I'd like you to start with who's here.
Okay.
And then go elsewhere.
That is a very great question, Yams. I think, and I always say this, for every part there's a cover. So I think there's a lot of niche specific artists. There's a lot of niche specific creatives here that may not even sometimes recognize their contribution to the overall creative industry.
Right.
Of course, within like the art space, you have, I want to say people like Matthew Wildgoose, Ben Ferguson, Joe Monique, like people who are painters, but they're still in the arts, but it's just still, it's different avenues that need to be driven. So while they are the ones, propelling the appreciation for their art form, I think, of course, you still have people like us who are in the theater. So I would, of course, then say people like Preston and yourself who are helping to drive the theater scene in Grand Bahama, or helping to revive the theater scene in Freeport. And then the artists that would have unfortunately left, because I used to work at this place here in Freeport a few years ago. We used to do a lot of marketing and advertisement. Right. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But a lot of my co-workers who I know are great Grand Bahamian artists, I could call Lamaro because Yeah. But people like Lamaro, like they're great. They're the people that still at that time we pushed boundaries.
Yes. They push the boundaries and they push the envelope. Oh, yeah. So what do you think would be, but I don't even know, you can answer this. What do you think would be the thing that would drive most persons to come back home? Do you think it's because, a lot of people blame it on, or because ain't nobody coming there in terms of the tourists, or do you think it's because there's no investment in Grand Bahama? People think it's so many different things, but what do you think is the driving force that'll bring more persons back home? Especially
more persons or creatives?
Creatives.
Okay, but creatives, one in particular, we need appreciation. People don't appreciate what we do. People appreciate sometimes seeing the work of an artist, but when it comes to paying an artist, in Freeport, it's much more challenging, I would even dare say, in the Bahamas. Whereas, for example, in the wedding space, there are wedding photographers in the U.S. that are making perhaps $10,000 for an 8-hour wedding day. You tell people here, based off of how our economy is set up, you tell them, oh, for a wedding, I'm charging a minimum of $2,000. People think that's a whole lot of money.
Yeah, you want me to pay your rent.
Right. So I think it comes back to when I think once artists can feel appreciated, once artists can make a living here in Freeport, then I think they'll start considering returning. I look at places like Nassau with Bahama as easy as their art gallery there. Like
Right.
that still is a place that appreciates artists.
Right.
So you're gonna go where you're appreciated.
Yeah.
And I think as far as the island of Grand Bahama, as far as people, I think people will begin to return when there's a lot more cash flow.
Right.
We need a lot of cash flow.
Yeah.
Whatever that could be, we need it.
Yeah, and I had a conversation about this earlier today where we were talking about the fact that because a lot of people don't like to either pay their bills or pay the full value of something, that's what's stopping the cash flow.
Yeah.
You always want someone to take a little bit
Yep.
off the top. So if you take long to pay me, then I can't pay for my gas.
Right.
That means people at the gas station can't get paid. Like when you think of money in that sense, in terms of how much hands it goes in
Right.
when you pay someone their full amount, you realize that you're not just paying someone, you're investing in the economy because now you could pay your power bill. Now you
Exactly.
could pay your rent. And now the person you're paying your rent to could put their children in school. I get so much moving pieces.
And I think technology too is making these things a little bit more difficult, and
Definitely.
not just in the Bahamas, in the world, because like we had a recent conversation, just like there are platforms where you can now go in and you can get
Pull
everything you need.
right.
So I think because the world is ever changing, I think we as Grand Bahamians, one, we have to always work 10 times harder.
Right.
Two, as Black people, we always got to work 3 times harder. And just generally being in an island nation where, you know, government policies control a lot more in some areas in the private sector, I just feel like you got to just keep pushing because you got to keep evolving because the world is ever changing.
Definitely. It's wonderful. I like how this conversation going. We flowing. Like, we
Great.
gelling and flowing.
We do
I
this
love
all
it.
the time, yeah.
Yeah, we do this all the time. Okay, so great. Now let's shift a little bit over into persons you have worked with in the past
Yes.
that you see yourself doing projects with very, very soon. Other than me, of course. I know I'm on that list.
I might have to throw in a little shameless plug.
Okay, do your thing.
I'm going to keep it a little bit more closer to home. 2 years ago, we would have worked on a project here called the A-Team.
Yes.
Which was a photographic experiment where we wanted to identify, you know, can things work in a large team setting or a small team setting, or do you even need a team to accomplish some photographic goals?
Okay.
That was the idea of the A-Team. So with that, I had the opportunity to work with numerous Grand Bahamian talent. So with that, I am currently in the process of preparing for season 2.
Okay.
So a lot of the creatives that we worked with on that project will be coming back for season 2.
Definitely.
So that's something that I'm excited about working with. I
Okay.
don't know if I answered your question.
You did.
But I that's one of the things that I think I want to just keep everything just nice and homegrown. Because I could say other creatives, but I just want to, of course, focus on here and now.
Definitely, I love it. See how we just keep it right here at
Yes,
home, right here at
yes.
home bakes. And I have to commend you on that 18 project because that was top tier.
Thank
I've
you.
seen other creatives, and no shade, I've seen other creatives try to do the reality competition thing,
Yeah.
and not 100% pull it off with your finesse and class and keeping it, up to that standard
Thank
too.
you.
Big ups to the contestants. It was Dayton,
Dominic,
Daryl,
and Drea.
Andrea.
Yes.
Big personalities. That
Yes.
could have easily gone left at any time. but,
it did.
but y'all kept it cute though.
It did.
And it was really, really good. And it was a really good.
Thank you.
So if you haven't checked it out, look it up. ATM. Alfred
Thank
Anderson.
you.
Check it out. It's really, really good, I have to say. And so with that, is Studio A place that things of that nature can happen? And how can
Yes.
people reach out to you
Yes.
to do things like that?
Yes, so definitely. And again, I'm working on more messaging right now, but
Okay.
I really want to push some signature experiences, like I said, whereas you can have a real live audience experience, but right here at home. Whereas
Okay.
even as far as kind of podcasting, making different experiences, another service is going to be portrait parties.
Okay.
So as opposed to just kind of coming in, having your pictures and you leave, no, you can actually have a legitimate, just like how there's sip and paint,
Right.
there will be portrait parties.
Love it.
Where you can bring a group of like 5 to 10 people. You say, this is the birthday girl, we have dinner at 7, but we want to get some stuff done before we leave. You come in, you get your one-stop shop, hair, makeup, everything, the limousine comes and pick you up and you go off to dinner.
I love it. Get your professional pictures before you go out to dinner. Okay.
Yes.
See, boy, one thing. Alfred, you can think outside the box, and I absolutely love it. But we're going to take another commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk more about creativity, not just on a local scale, but on a global scale.
Yes.
Yo, what's up, Bahamas? My name is Andrew Williams, aka Cat,
And I'm your boy Mix.
and we're representing Off the Bench, the #1 talk sportcast in the Bahamas.
In the world, my boy.
My bad partner. So
Yeah.
we cover anything sports throughout the Bahamas. We cover our Bahamian athletes wherever they are, and they're making waves in sports. We cover them.
Hey, just tune in to us every Wednesday here on Superior Talk at 6 o'clock p.m.
The number
Sharp.
the #1 talk show
In the world.
in the world.
The world, Craig.
Okay, so we are back with Islandish Podcast. I am your hostess, your girl Yams, here with Mr. Alfred Anderson, and we're going to read a few of the comments. Okay, this is coming from
Yes.
Ursula Sims. My most favorite photo of my daughter was when she was young, was taken by Mr. Anderson. See, Alfred, I tell you,
Thank
Alfred
you,
is
Miss
a superstar.
Ursula.
Superstar Alfred. We have another comment coming
Oh,
from
yeah,
Gio from the
Gio.
Rhythm. Big shout out to Alfred. Keep going, my G.
Thank you,
And we
Gio.
have some more shout outs coming in. I'm an artist in Freeport. Let's collaborate. That's coming from Avery.
Let's
All
do
right,
it,
so
Avery.
Avery, make sure you DM
Yes.
Islandish242 and I'll make sure I connect you guys. And big up to my boy Daryl
We
listening
got
in on the show.
Daryl, the winner of season 1 ATM
Yes.
and a guest on Islandish.
Yes, he was my guest
Daryl.
number 3. Big ups to Daryl, man. Excellent interview. And then we have a comment from Maria Lockhart. She's excited for season 2 of the A-Team. See, you already have people hype you giving these little snippets.
Oh, wow.
Yes, the A-Team. See?
Yes,
See?
PPL.
What I tell you all? See? Okay, great question. Where is Studio A?
Yeah, so Studio A is located on West Mall Drive. The easiest way I tell people is it's just next to Freeport Insurance.
Yes,
So
in the pipe, one of the pipe
in the
from
Piper
buildings.
Manors, building D, door number 5.
Okay.
But we do go on appointment only basis. So I always encourage people just send us a message on any of our social media pages first, just so that way we can make sure that we're not on a current project, doing a current shooting or filming.
Right.
So definitely you want to check us out at the Piper Manor.
Okay, definitely. So let them know what your tag is for the studio so they can know where to find you on social media.
Yes. So on Instagram, the page is Studio A by Tag, TAG. That's the acronym for the Anderson Group.
Yes, I saw what you did there.
So Studio A by Tag, or you can find me, Alfred Anderson, on every social media platform, except TikTok, where I'm the Alfred Anderson.
Yes,
but
you're
yeah,
the
Instagram
Alfred
is great, and then we also have a website. So studioa.theanderson.group.
Wonderful.
No .com, just studioa.theanderson.group.
Wonderful. So make sure you guys check him out and get your bookings in ASAP. My guys doing some amazing stuff. And Alfred, I am so happy for you.
Thank
This
you,
is going to be
Yams.
huge. Gonna blow
Yes.
him out the water.
And we got to start, previewing some of the things that we got coming up.
Yes.
Very soon.
Very, very soon.
In about a month's time.
Yeah, probably even less. My Lord. Time has creep up on you, but
Yes.
I love it. I work well under pressure, even though I don't like it. But we're going to get this done. Don't worry. And you guys are definitely going to hear more about it. So make sure you're following Islandish242 on all of your social media platforms, because you definitely do not want to miss out on this.
Yes.
And I like how you mentioned signature experiences
Yes.
and signature events, because
Yes.
that's what we plan to create.
Yeah.
It's going to be something completely different that hasn't been done, I don't think, anywhere in the Bahamas.
Nope.
If you ask me.
Nope.
Like,
And this
not
is
the way
still
we're
only
gonna do
the
it.
tip of the iceberg.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
It's going to be great. It's going to be
It's gonna be
amazing.
awesome. But also, let's get back into the conversation and talk about creativity on a local and global scale. Now, I don't know if you saw the episode earlier, but I had Cranston McDonald here.
Okay.
You know Cranston.
Yes, I do.
Excellent producer.
Yes.
Excellent creative. And me and him were talking about theater and the future of theater and what theater in Grand Bahama is lacking. So I'm going to ask you that same question. So what do you think is lacking in theater, specifically here in Grand Bahama, and what is needed to take it to that next level?
See, the thing is, with that question, that's a great question. Theater in Grand Bahama, for me, even in my presidency and beyond at the theater, I always said that we are the Broadway of the Bahamas. We have been around from the 60s. We are the oldest civic organization. our founders of the city of Freeport, they really built that place to be world class. I think our roots are still the same. Our capabilities are still the same. We still have a few great directors, great actors, a few, I would say. But I think what's really lacking is the opportunity for the new generation or the next generation to begin learning. Because I've only been in the theater, I want to say maybe 13, 14 years now.
Child, longer than me.
But at the same time, it's just like, there are some people that don't even know the Regency Theater exists here. So I think it takes a lot of, I want to say, recapitulating the organization itself, getting people to, again, fall in love with the idea of performing for free because it is nonprofit. And we're just kind of, I want to say, almost fighting a uphill battle when it comes to the reality of life right now. Like, everything is so cell phone based, computer based, technology based that I sometimes wonder if we're lacking appreciation for live entertainment.
Yeah, live experiences.
So I think in all of that, I just think what is needed is we need to get people interested again. We need to have the love. We need to have the fun come back again. But in terms of facilities, we have the facilities.
Yeah,
we just now
definitely.
need, I guess,
That oomph.
people.
Yeah,
We need people.
definitely. So, and to piggyback off of that, I like that you said that point, because that's kind of what Cranston pointed out in a sense. He said he understands that movies are movies and theater is theater.
Right.
But him being someone who is a movie producer, he could see where the two can fuse and,
yeah.
like you said, bridge
yeah.
that gap of people really like technology. They
Right.
like being able to watch things from the comfort of their home.
Right.
And that's a market you could almost tap into.
Right.
And almost to kind of persuade people to leave their homes. If you could see a clip, like,
Right.
oh, you should have been there to see more. They doing a debut show in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Get your tickets. It's almost kind of that kind of sense.
Yeah.
And we piggyback that conversation from talking about Tyler Perry plays. And now
okay.
a lot of Tyler Perry's plays, his first movie
Right.
was Diary of a Mad Black Woman, which was a play
Right.
at first.
Yeah.
And then he turned it into a movie.
Yeah.
So what do you think when it comes to that in terms of that merger between theater and movies?
What I think is kind of happening right before our eyes, we are having our P.T. Barnum era. We're having the circus era happen to us. Whereas back then, circus and that form of live entertainment was the thing that got people out. That's what got people going. But over time, television was introduced.
Right.
So people felt less compelled to go into a stinky tent versus staying in their homes.
I'm watching.
So I think it's more so just a matter of time and time stating its course. But I think there's numerous examples, even outside of Tyler Perry. I want to say even locally, I know I've worked with Island Dreams Management, Karel
Yes.
Pender, as a playwright for several years. And I've personally experienced her transitioning audiences from visual in the form of video and bringing them right back center to
Right.
where they were at in that present moment. So it's possible. I think it still just takes creative individuals and creative ways to properly merge both of them together, because Tyler Perry, I mean, he's one of.
Right.
But it's possible.
Right.
It's literally possible. And again, it really for me is about the artist having the desire to revolutionize whatever it is that they're doing.
Right. I like that you said that too, and that kind of ties back into, because you did mention that the theater, especially the Freeport Players Guild, needing persons who have a passion for
Yeah.
it, but also a willingness to do it for free.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of contradicts what you said earlier about creatives feeling like they're not compensated well? So that kind of makes it seem
I think
counterproductive.
it definitely it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a battle that I fought to understand, but coming from the sense of it being a nonprofit with the background, I always said it's just like, no, we got to start paying people for their talent so that we can be appreciated. But I personally look at it as just essentially free training that you're getting. So even though you're not being paid for it, the experience that you can get from theater here at the Regency Theater, that's pretty close to what I imagine a Broadway experience would be like.
Okay.
So again, you're not being paid physically with cash, but you're being paid with knowledge and access and opportunities. So I think it definitely doesn't make it easier.
Right.
It does, in a sense, make it more difficult, but you just have to kind of be in the right headspace, I would say, to
Right. In the right position in life.
and position in life, because very, very, very true with that. This was a rich people playground.
Yes.
Back then. Like,
yes.
but we don't have those same liberties. So finding the balance, making the balance, if that's something that you want to do, I think that's the only way that this could really, be something that you just have to. I think it's just on a as needed basis, or how you personally interpret or where you are in life. But it is definitely difficult trying to still convince people to do things for free.
Right. Completely understandable. Now we're gonna hit some hard hitting questions, because I always come with the hard hitters.
I thought that was the hard one.
No. My hard hitters coming now. So, do you think there are creatives who, I would say, overcharge, or also like more money hungry than passion hungry?
Yes.
In what sense?
Now let me know how much you want me to say. How honest are we being?
We're being 100% honest.
I think people do overcharge, but I think, again, it just depends on your why. Like for me, I do photography and cinematography because I have a passion for it.
Right.
And while that did kind of screw me over, now that I'm realizing, like, no, sometimes you do need to focus more on things just being about the business. I do think that there are some individuals that overcharge and quite frankly take advantage of what we're capable of as artists.
Right.
But that might just be their business structure.
Okay.
That might just be the reason why they went into business. It's not mine, but to each his own.
Do you think that's a good reason to get into something like creativity?
For
the
me,
money?
This is going to sound weird, but I'm pretty sure there's at least one person that will be able to relate with me.
It's easy for Alfred to say it ain't about the money when he making it.
Right. But I've had this conversation before. As an artist, believe it or not, some of our, okay, let me say this right so I don't get canceled, but some of our least favorite work that we end up producing is usually paid work.
Yes. I could 100% agree with that.
Right. Like when I have a project that's a passion project and a personal project, like I can go, my brain goes everywhere. But the minute a dollar sign is associated with it,
Right.
there comes the pressure, there comes the overthinking, there
And
comes
the
the
boxing
perfectionism.
in.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's one of those things, whereas, yeah, it is about the money, but I personally don't make that my end goal because I know that it will impact my ability to create. So yeah, I still collect the coins, but it's just like I try to make that not my
why.
main. It's not my why. If I don't do something with a passion, if I don't love a project, you can know.
Yeah.
Like if I don't feel the connection to it, you're gonna know. And if I'm offering it as a service, I want to make sure that before I tell a client yes, I need to know that this aligns with what I am and who I am.
Yeah, all the details.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big part of it too, especially with me being a creative who does what I do, where
Yeah.
it's like real life, where it's whether I'm hosting a wedding or
Right.
da. That's why I try to get to know the people first.
Beforehand, yep.
Because it's like, y'all even really in love? Because it's certain things I got to be able to say, and it
Right.
actually, and I don't mean to sound like that, but
It's the truth, though.
It's the truth.
It's
And it's like, do
literally
your
the truth.
family get along? Because if I say something like we're one big family, is that true?
And then
Are people
even
going to
with
be looking like
certain games that you would want to do,
want to play? Yeah, so it's like all of that is really important.
Yeah.
So I like how you said it has to be a passion project. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes the money, I don't care how much money you pay me. I can't fake at your reception if everybody don't like each other
Yep.
and you are ready to fight. Ain't nothing I could do.
And even if you can push through it, I still just think it always is going to lack the authenticity.
The authenticity, yeah.
Because I've done it a few times where it was just like projects or weddings or something that I didn't really feel connected to, but because I was already stuck in the situation, I had to push through.
Make it happen.
But it's for me, I prefer passion.
Yeah, it's cringy.
Yeah.
It just make you feel so cringe. And that's the thing about it as being a creative. It's those cringe moments when you have to force yourself to finish something and it's like, oh, I wish I could give them their money back and go home. But you
Listen.
can't. You have to push through the project
And I think
because
people don't even really sometimes understand with creativity and entrepreneurship. I think those are two probably the most opposite ends trying to come together.
Yeah.
Because it is so hard to be in the middle, and the middle being business.
Yeah, and be creative at the same time. That's why they call it a starving artist.
Right. It is difficult. It's not like someone who works in culinary, so to speak. It's just like, okay, you get the fish, you season the fish, you plate the fish, and then you give you serve the fish. Photography and creativity, you got to figure out so much.
That's like making
more
soup
prior to, and then you got to do so much following the work. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole journey in and of itself. So we're going to take another break, and then when we come back, we're going to begin to wrap up this conversation with the Alfred Anderson. You asked and I delivered. Islandish is back. The podcast you guys have known to love, to like to call in, to like to interact with. We are officially back. For the ones that don't know me, this is your girl Yams. Hearing me on Mix 102.1 FM or your favorite TGF_Yams. With the 2 S's, we're back with Islandish right here on Superior Talk. So make sure you're following the page. We're going live this Thursday, 6 p.m. Don't miss it. Follow us. It's about to get lit. All right, so we are back with Islandish Podcast with the Alfred Anderson, owner of Studio A, the Center of Creation.
Yes.
Now, listen, I'm about to start saying it like that. Studio A, track A, a little bit.
We can make that a commercial.
Yes, see, that's what I do. Right, so we're talking about creativity on a global scale, especially here in Grand Bahama. So with all of these different opportunities that are coming to Grand Bahama, we're about to get into it right now for real.
Okay.
With Celebration Key coming, with that investment, with all the different businesses and things that are blossoming or appearing to blossom in Freeport, Grand Bahama.
Yeah.
What does the future of creativity in Grand Bahama look like to you?
What the future of creativity looks like to me with all this kind of new projects, one, it is my hope, and I recently had this conversation, it is my hope that with these new investments, it's not going to be a situation where the Grand Bahamian artists or Bahamian artists get pushed to the side for the foreign artists to come in.
Yeah.
That is, and I'm not trying to like rain on the parade of all the successful things that are going on, it's just the reality.
Yeah.
So it is my hope that with all that's coming on, I hope that those who have the power to, make things happen, I hope they see this as an opportunity for Bahamian artists to now finally have platforms to share, to create. Because even when it comes to, I'm kind of on like low-key NDAs with a lot of things, so I can't really say too much. But I was very grateful because one of the projects that is coming on stream, I was afforded a pretty great opportunity to produce a lot of the initial content for them. So I hope that things like that continues for not just myself. Again, going back to the Bahama model, I just love how art was the center of that entire construction period. Like, they really, really pushed artists.
Yes.
So I hope that all these investments mean something. I hope there's actually going to be a visual or a vivid kind of proof that these things are here when they are here. And again, I just hope that we're not left behind.
Yes. I 100% agree. My other question for you right now is going to be along the lines of what is your favorite type of projects to work on? And definitely what is your least favorite?
Ooh, that's hard, Yams.
Yeah, I know. I hit you with a hard one and I hit you with a buffer.
My favorite projects?
Just the type.
Photography. So anything fashion editorial. Like, I don't like perfect. Like, I don't like images and things that are like perfect. Like, keep in mind, I love doing commercial work. I do the shipyard. They're one of my clients. So like I usually capture a lot of their vessels. That is fun because I don't have to physically tell the vessels, smile or turn right. That's fun. But I get most fulfilled when there's an entire process, when there's a model involved, when there's a hairstylist, and just being able to say, no, let's bump a hair. Right. Just small changes that makes the biggest difference, and then seeing those things on screen as it's happening. and then having to go in and edit it, like, I love that. I'm sorry, like, I will do that for the rest of my life if I could. If it pays the bills, I can.
Right.
But I would say my least favorite, and I think this might be shared, I don't like editing videos.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
I don't like editing videos because, and depending on what type of video it is, it's time consuming.
Yes.
And then you have to focus on people wanting revisions. Oh my God.
I don't like that clip.
Like, after, right,
don't
like
like how I
I just
look.
spent 8 hours thinking that I just created the best
Best
possible
thing
product, and then you're
ever.
gonna tell me, oh, take out that 2 seconds?
Yes, like,
Oh,
I
no.
don't like that ending. You can't crop that out, and then I just throw off the whole
Right.
timing with the
I
music.
edit with music. So when if I ever
if I
I'm
could
in
have
a
pulled out my weave, I would right now.
so I think anything video editing wise, it's my least favorite. Oh God, if I could just say, you know what, you go ahead and you do this
Yeah.
portion, I would. That is my ultimate least favorite things.
Okay, that's some good answers I could relate to, so I can't even be mad at you with those answers. Okay, so my other question right now would be, what would be some advice you would give to persons who are interested in videography and photography, especially living in Grand Bahama right now, who are just starting out too?
My advice to anyone considering videography, photography, anything in the visual arts sense in Freeport, I would honestly say, don't expect it to happen overnight. Like, I think technology, especially the advent of like these new iPhones, like Insta, like everything, creativity is now, it appears to be, oh yeah, all you got to do is this. All you should do is that. Like, it seems like it's a 1-2 step process. But for someone like me who've been doing photography professionally for over 16 years now, I honestly just said to myself, because 2014 was when I left my 9-to-5. So this year is actually my 10th year in entrepreneurship.
Ooh.
I feel like I just started.
Yeah.
Like this literally feels like the beginning of a journey. So my advice, and I don't know that I had many people tell me this when I started. I just really wish I understood better the concept of time as it relates to success.
Yeah.
Like, don't believe what you see online all the time.
Yeah.
Things must happen in the background, and it takes a long time.
Yeah. I like that you said that and mentioned that, because I feel like, especially with social media, especially with people living in Grand Bahama and seeing persons in the U.S.,
Right.
influencers, oh, I'm making $100,000.
Don't believe it.
It's like, don't mind them. That didn't happen from I make my Instagram page and 2-3 bookings later, I'm making $10,000.
Right.
That took time. It took investment. It took practice.
Took a lot of lessons more than
yeah,
anything.
a lot of failures.
Right.
And it's a long, long journey. And it's a journey everywhere.
Yep. And even particularly with as it relates to like film in particular too, because I just shared this recently too, is just like, if you're interested in like, depending on what level of film that you're interested in, you have to also consider that there are kids whose parents are paying thousands of dollars to take them into the top New York Film Academy,
Right.
to SCAD and all these other like top creative institutions. They also are likely parents who have some influence already into spaces like
Yeah.
Hollywood. So if
Give
you're
them
from
that
a
jump.
small island and your goal is Hollywood, you can't possibly think that it's going to be easy to just jump over the heads of these people who are throwing money at these production studios,
Right.
who are throwing money at people. And
I'm not
if
saying it's impossible.
it's not
but
impossible,
rare.
but if that's your goal and if that's kind of like the only reason that you're doing it, that my advice would be like completely change your mindset around that, because it takes time.
Right.
And it just, everything I think in art really takes time.
Yeah. The saying is, if you want something done quickly, go along. If you want it done well, what is it?
I was thinking the same, but I can't remember how exactly
I remember how it goes. I feel like I having a brain fart. But
I
it's
know what you
like,
mean, though.
Yes. If you want something done well, you need a lot of people and you need to take your time, and it's going to
Yep.
take a long time. But if you want it done quickly, you have to do it by yourself, and it ain't come out as good. It ain't going to
Or
be as
you
great.
could also say that, good things ain't cheap and cheap things ain't good.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Like, Real. It take a long time to build a very beautiful car.
Yep.
Them cubes, they take a few minutes. That's why it's a bunch of them around here. No, but for real, like I've always prided myself, and I think I learned that from being around you and Preston and certain people, that you have to be willing to not just be different, but realize that this can take some time.
Oh, yeah.
And be able to, it's almost like wine. You have to let it breathe. You have to let your ideas breathe for a little bit.
Yep.
Let your creativity, let what you're trying to do, let it simmer for a little bit. Don't
And
be
what's
like,
for you is always going to be for you.
right, like let it sit for a little while. It don't be mad, no one buying it right now. Don't just jump
keep
from
going.
okay, I'm promoting this week, promoting this.
Keep
let it
going.
sit. Let it sit for a little
Keep
bit.
going.
Let it sit. Someone can
Yep.
see it. They gotta wait till they get paid at the end of the month. Let it sit for a little bit. And I go through a lot of times with dealing with social media promotions.
Yep.
And leading with businesses who'll be like, oh, I want to make some money. Let's try these different marketing campaigns. You can't have a different
don't
marketing
happen
campaign
overnight.
every 2 weeks. You have to have it.
Exactly.
Let it sit there for like 2-3 months. And then try something different.
My thing is, I always even just related to like certain brands that we still see to this day. Like,
Right.
for example, Kellogg's. Like, Kellogg's, we grew up on Kellogg's, but they still advertising to this day. Like, there are certain products that are older than us, and they still put out commercials. So,
Yeah.
in terms of just like time and creativity, it's just like you gotta keep going. You can't give up. You can't expect it to work immediately.
Right.
It might sometimes if you're lucky, but that. Just keep going. Like that's I could say that a million times, but just keep going.
Yes, I have one last question before we get ready to wrap up. It would be, because our person would definitely want to know this in photography. How did you market yourself, not only on a local scale, but both? I want to know on the
Yes.
local scale
Yes.
and then on the international scale.
So for me, of course, understanding technology, understanding times, understanding positioning, understanding search engine optimization, understanding marketing, understanding branding. Those are just some of the things that I had to implement to allow myself to, expand or reach the markets that I want to reach. There is, of course, again, a level of investment. You get what you pay for. So a lot of times I would have had to really, like I said, on the SEO side, I have to position myself to be found by international clients.
Yeah, on Google search.
Right. Some artists don't even have websites. So my thing is you have to have those things, and that's what kind of worked for me. Having a space that's yours, where you control the narrative, where you control the information, you control the access. Then networking.
People don't like to do that. Why everybody like to play like this? Introverts. Like,
I know, and the thing is with networking is I think networking comes in so much different ways, shapes, and forms. Like for me, networking could be simple as just being on an existing wedding job and just saying to the florist, "I love your work. This is beautiful." And in some cases, I would of course just capture photos of them or of their work, share it with them, no extra charge. Just because I actually really appreciate the work that they do. And then next thing you know, maybe like
they refer
a month
you.
later, oh, I got your name from so-and-so, the hairstylist, or so-and-so, the florist. So networking, I think, is very, 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 very important next to your personal investments. And then the other thing, of course, is branding. How you tell your story, how you want people to understand your story. So I would have spent years branding myself, like
Yeah, you went through a couple of phases, but then when you found one that stuck, it's like
I was Ali Boy.
yeah.
Like you gotta brand. You gotta brand. You gotta make sure that it's relevant. Make sure it's fresh. Make sure that
Like, Alfred Anderson. That's his last name.
like
It's like, oh, I see what he did there.
right.
Okay.
But you have to brand. And again, these are just 3 of the many things that I've personally done. I don't think that I've done everything necessary just yet, but it's a journey for me. And I'm honestly just enjoying all of this. Like even being here with you today, Yams, this is like a full circle moment,
I know, right?
I'm really, really grateful for you even considering me as a guest on your show. Like, and of course, like we said, we got a lot of work
to do.
but we're gonna do it.
You're gonna get this done. So now let them know in a wrap up how they can get in contact with you, because one of our viewers already said he wants to collaborate. So how can they reach out to you? Email address,
Yes.
website, say it all one last time as we
Yes.
begin to wrap up.
So I have several ways. My email address is alfred@theanderson.group. That's my email. You can always email me there. I'm Alfred Anderson on every social media platform. I have www.alfredanderson.photography. If you're interested in weddings, I got www.alfredanderson.wedding. Not with an S, just wedding. And then for Studio A, I would have said that earlier. So there's multiple ways, but generally, if you email info@theanderson.group, that's gonna get in contact as well. But just reach out anywhere. Anyhow, just don't call me.
Yeah, just don't call me. Yeah, a lot of us don't like phone calls.
Don't call.
But definitely, because I feel like a lot of persons, especially looking at you from the outside, they'll feel like, oh, he wouldn't want to collaborate with me, XYZ. But you never know if you don't ask.
Right.
And you never know that it could be the next biggest project you work on, especially if it's a passion project or something that really makes sense, or you already had lined up and was looking for someone in their field. So always reach out, always network, always collaborate. This has been an amazing conversation, Alfred.
Yes, thank you so much,
Did such a great job.
Thank you.
And this was a long day for me, but I thugged through like a champ.
Yes, you did it.
You did it. So we have some more wonderful things in the pipeline. As always, if you did not catch this entire episode, it will be uploaded to the Islandish YouTube channel. But while you're here, subscribe to Superior Talk. Click the subscribe button. Click the notification button. Follow, like, share.
Yes.
Share. And always stop at Studio A, the center of creation. I have been your girl, Yams. This has been
A Moment with Alfred Anderson.
Hey, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.
Thank you so much.